Taming Lightning is supported by the Pittsburgh Glass Center, who encouraged my exploration, research, and development of a space for plasma and neon sculpture. The Pittsburgh Glass Center is a nonprofit, public access school, gallery, and state-of-the-art glass studio dedicated to teaching, creating, and promoting glass art. World-renowned artists come from all over to make glass art. People interested in learning more about glass come here to take classes, explore contemporary art gallery, and watch live glass demonstrations. As one of the top glass art centers in the world, we pride ourselves on providing exceptional resources and instruction to expand the skills and knowledge of our students and artists. We strive to foster a new generation of glass artists and enthusiasts here in the Pittsburgh region. The Pittsburgh Glass Center is an important arts organization in Pittsburgh that is helping the city connect its history as a major producer in glass to its creative future through the innovative use of glass as art. Glass art. We teach it, we create it, we promote it. We support those who make it. Taming Lightning is affiliated with the Plasma Art Alliance. Their mission is to promote illuminated plasma and glass as a sculptural art medium, foster public awareness of this art form through exhibitions, conferences, and educational outreach, and support the exchange of information related to techniques and technologies essential to the advancement of the field. PAA will serve the growing interest of this art for the mutual benefit of artists, enthusiasts, and patrons. If you're interested and would like to join, please check us out on the web at www.plasmaartalliance.com. I'd like to mention a support option for Taming Lightning, which is Ko-fi. That's ko-fi.com/taminglightning. With this, you're basically donating or giving a tip at the cost of a $3 cup of coffee, based on how you think I'm doing, and if you like the project, it's nice and supported. Your donation goes directly to the podcast for means of assisting with audio equipment upgrades, billing or hosting, software and services used in processing the audio, and future travel and professional content. You are by no means obligated to donate, but any support, including commenting and sharing, is appreciated. Welcome back, or welcome to the Taming Lightning podcast. I'm Percy Eccles II. I'm the creator and host of Taming Lightning, as well as the emerging plasma tech at Pittsburgh Glass Center. Taming Lightning podcast features a series of conversations to help expand our understanding of plasma and neon light, looking beyond its associations with novelty and sign making, and to explore the potential for noble gases as an artistic medium. The intro is Boost by Joakim Karud. Joakim is a Swedish artist who loves to produce chill and happy music, and does so for copyright-free use. Be sure to support his music by giving credit when used, subscribing, and or by donation. You can find him on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, SoundCloud, and Spotify. Hello, Lightning Tamers. This is episode number 29. In today's podcast, we have Dalibor Farný. And for those of you who don't know, he's a small manufacturer of the world's largest Nixie tubes and clocks in the Czech Republic. And the reason why I want him on the podcast is for several reasons, one of which I believe parallels the struggles of those pursuing the seemingly untamable nature of plasma, or anyone in pursuit of self-learning, is that his engineering background was all he had before becoming enamored by Nixie tubes. Now, not unlike myself, he pursued as much information as he could, whether it's text or what little existed on the internet, before needing the help of those willing to share their knowledge. He searched, he gathered, and learned the equipment needed, taught himself how to work glass and use a lathe, and how to process, clean, and use the vacuum system. He's very open to sharing his process, his successes, his failures, questions, and solutions. So after the podcast, please check out his YouTube channel for his latest projects and designs. Definitely worth reaching out to him if you have questions. He's always willing to share. Otherwise, enjoy the podcast. So how are you doing this afternoon? It's morning my time, but it's afternoon your time.
Yeah, afternoon here. Thank you. I'm doing quite fine. I just managed to to do some updates on our clocks just before we started. So I was struggling with this for 3 days, and I finally managed to finish this thing. So I'm quite happy. So thank
Excellent.
you.
So just to give us a little bit more background, can you tell us a little bit about how you came to your interest in Nixie tubes and then going into this company that produces them?
Yeah, so the very beginning, how I got to Nixie tubes, was at this time I was like working as a software developer, and I was searching for some interesting electronics project where I could do at home, because I was kind of sick from all this software work, and I found a work of Alan Seiler. He makes a high-speed photography with a high-speed flash, and these interesting photos where when you have some like fast movement and you freeze it with a high-speed flash. And I was building this setup at home, and I was Googling information about how to make this high-speed flash, and it involved a lot of things about the gas discharge. And by searching for this information, I found Nixie tubes, because it's a gas discharge in neon. And so this is the story how I found Nixie tubes, and this was really, really exciting. I just spent few days searching information about Nixie tubes, because they were very different from what I knew about the displays and all these things. I didn't know they existed. And from this excitement, it slowly grew into the gathering information, how they are produced. And after a few days, actually, I put aside this project of high-speed flash and started working on the Nixie tubes. This is like 9 years ago, and I'm still in it. And I think I found the job what will entertain me for the rest of my life.
Oh,
hopefully.
Yeah. Was it? Before I ask this question, it's really interesting. You have a person of interest, because Alan Saylor had contacted me in the last year, and he was one person that helped. He donated his plasma manifold to me as a gift. So I have parts of his system that he wasn't going to use anymore, and he gave that to me because he saw that I was working on doing plasma work here in Pittsburgh in the U.S. So I found that's really interesting. The world's quite small.
Okay, that's really interesting. Yeah, I didn't know that he is involved in plasma as well. Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, he worked on. He kind of gave up on it a little bit because it's kind of a difficult thing. Just like, I guess I'm kind of jumping the gun on this, just like how you had to learn how to work and make with glass. He had no experience or access to working with glass himself. So that became something that he found was expensive on his end, because he had to work with other people producing shapes and items for him to play with and to fill, even though he had the setup and the gases for it. Now he's kind of shifted. He's still interested. He's kind of shifted into using the vacuum system for other experiments and just kind of enjoying what he likes to indulge in. So,
yeah, that sounds interesting. I need to check his Flickr photo stream, because he shares the work there. So, yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, and so when you were looking up information on how to make these Nixie tubes, you had to have gone through quite a bit of resources just to even understand how they were manufactured.
Yes. I started with like the information that are available on internet. There is surprisingly almost nothing on internet available, because all these things were like in the production 60 years ago. So this was not the internet era. so
Right.
nothing got recorded for internet. So if you want to get the information, you need to go to library to search for books and search for people who actually remembers these times. So you will not be able to get all the information from one source on internet. You need to go to several sources. So one of the first sources, and actually the best one, what I found about Nixie tubes, is a book by George Frederick Weston, and it's called Cold Cathode Gas Discharge Tubes. And I found this book and scanned it for a few friends. I actually got some friends just by offering this book online in Nixie forum community. And this was one of the first sources. And then if I talk about the very beginning, and then I met a man. His name is Ron Soyland. His hobby, he lives in Houston, and his hobby is making triodes, like small glass tubes, especially the early, like 1920s tubes, like reproductions. And he told me a lot of information about how to make not Nixie tubes, but how to work with glass, how to make glass to metal seals with the boro and tungsten, and how to work with vacuum cleaning and all this, like basics about vacuum and work with gases, leak checking, and all these things. So this was one of the most important person who helped me with the Nixie tubes.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, to do what you are doing, you had to really kind of take a lot of information and put it together and find a community to put those pieces together. And when you started working, and you found that glass was something you had to be able to do yourself, and how'd you end up working with that? And
yeah,
did you find someone to teach you that, or did you kind of self-taught through your contacts?
I had to learn everything myself, and actually I prefer this way of learning, just closing myself in a workshop and learning and just watching YouTube how other people do it, or talk with other people. But at the place where I live, like in Czech Republic, there is really no way how to how to find a course of glass blowing, for example. So this is very difficult. So I was just learning it myself.
Yeah. So with that self-learning, what would you say are the most important things people should keep in mind when they are left with no immediate access, but they have to kind of work through the process on their own? What do you think are the kind of qualities or things people should keep in mind when doing such a thing?
Like the way I do it, I don't know what's the best. I probably can't advise people like what's the best, but the way I do it, I just do things by a trial and error method. Like I do a lot of tests, a lot of experiments to, sometimes you do some experiment to like with intention to find some information, but you actually find something completely different. And so if you do a lot of experiments and a lot of testing, you in the end find a lot of interesting information. So this is one thing. Another thing is you need to be patient. You need to really love what you do, because if you are not patient, you will want to give up soon. This is very important because, for example, at the beginning when I was trying to make a leak-tight seal of the tungsten wire into the borosilicate glass, I was failing all the time, like every seal was leaky. And after some time, like discussing with Ron remotely over emails, we figure out the problems. But like without him at this point, I would give up, because just I did like, I don't know, 50 maybe more seals, and they were all leaky. So I would think that it's not possible, or I would need to find some other type of glass and the metal. So and at this point he told me that if I do something, I need to be really patient and like work systematically, and that if I remember this, that when there is a problem, you can, like, there are only two ways: either you break the problems, or the problem breaks you. So I always keep this in mind, this Ron's saying, let's say, and I always try to be patient and break the problem, like always find a way how to go through the problem.
Right. You got to have perseverance. You got to have patience. You have to, of course, love what you do, or have a strong interest, and then as well as a passion to continue to weather through this, because you have to accept that failure is part of that process. Failure is a part of success.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely agree. Like at the beginning, it was difficult for me to accept this, that I need to live with constant failures. And when now currently we are running small production, like we are 7 people. We produce between 10 and 15 tubes, Nixie tubes every day in average. And when you finally have some process which is tuned, which is very reliable, you need to delegate the work. You need to find someone who will do this job. Like, let's say now the glass to metal sealing, and this is all done by my colleagues. And so for me now, I'm all the day solving just problems and living with the failures, like all the day. So at the beginning it was frustrating for me, but now it's kind of I just got used to it, so I kind of like it.
And is there what's your favorite part of that process when you're working on these tubes? What's your favorite part?
Favorite part, probably these things about the vacuum. Yeah, probably the vacuum is the most interesting for me, because it's difficult to describe, or kind of mysterious. Like when you work with glass, it's difficult. You need to get the routine in it. But after some time, if you do just one job, like one sealing technique, you learn it. But the vacuum is very tricky, and I'm still not understanding everything in the Nixie tube. I still need to learn a lot of things. So this is something what I will probably learn like for a long time. For example, how the impurities get into the gas, and how they influence the lifespan of the tube, and these things.
So speaking on impurities, you have to go through quite a cleaning process with all your materials, your glass, just before you even seal it up and pull your vacuum. Can you talk a little bit about what that usually entails, your cleaning of the parts that go into the Nixie tube, and what you have to do to prepare it before you even pull the vacuum?
Yeah, for sure. We need to clean every single part what we put inside an Nixie tube, except getters, because the getters are produced by the company which produces with keeping in mind that it needs to go into vacuum.
Mm-hmm.
But all the other parts is necessary to wash and then dry. Wash and rinse in a deionized water, and we use ultrasonic tanks for the washing, to make it really really good, that washing process. And then there are 3 additional ultrasonic baths with deionized water to remove all the cleaning agent traces.
Mm-hmm.
And then some parts are fired in ovens, and when it is all prepared, then it goes to assembly. And during the assembly, the people hold or handle the parts in gloves, so that we minimize the risk of contaminating the parts again by the grease from fingers and this.
Mm-hmm.
And then once the internal system is assembled, we put it into the glass envelope. The glass envelopes are also cleaned and not in ultrasonic baths, but they are cleaned in a laboratory dishwasher,
Mm-hmm.
which also, the cleaning process is also flowed by the rinse by deionized water. And once the tube is completed like this, it goes to the sealing operation, where the envelope is sealed into the stem. And after this, it's prepared for pumping.
Mm. When the first time you had a Nixie 2 light up, how did you feel when you finally got that thing to light up?
Yeah. That I remember this. I was experimenting for some time with discharge in air and later discharge in argon, which are both kind of purple colors, dim and not very like visible. But when I first lighted neon, it was really exciting feeling. Like it was the real thing, the neon discharge, because it's so bright and the color is so nice. Was really excited.
Yeah, you mostly stick with neon. Is it because of its efficiency compared to what someone like I would do, would mix around different gases? But is it a matter of efficiency and in appearance, or is
yes,
it something
it's
else?
efficiency. That's one thing. Also, you get much more light from neon than from other gases at the same current, and current is the thing which determines the lifespan of the Nixie tubes. If you need to increase the current flowing from through the tube, the sputtering rate. This is the sputtering is the process when the metal from the cathodes, from the digits, gets evaporated, and then it settles inside the tubes, and it can cause shorts and other problems. And so this sputtering rate increases significantly, like with the increasing the current. So if you want the same amount of light from, let's say, a tube filled with argon, the tube would, instead of, let's say, 20 years of lifespan, it would have like maybe 1 month, like this. This is just, I did just rough testing, but the sputtering was really high. So I abandoned this idea of developing a tube filled with argon and selling it, because the lifespan would be very low. But anyway, I'm planning to make a test with several tubes, and I want to use all the noble gases what we can get, like the xenon, krypton, argon, and make tubes and make like tests which will tell us the lifespan and which will show us what we can really get from these gases. Like, I don't want to give up just saying that it's not efficient or something. Maybe there will be a way how to make a tube which will last for some reasonable time and it will have different color. But at the moment, I'm still working on the neon and like understanding the sputtering and the problems what can happen with the Nixie tube.
Yeah, I wonder if what's going to end up happening is some of those other gases need kind of like the Geisler tubes. Some of them had, certain types of certain types of glasses that phosphoresce, or like some of the some other lighting forms, like the incandescent lamps, that have like, the flickering light bulb that have like a colored, like a phosphor colored metal on it. So
Yeah. Yeah.
maybe one of your side projects could end up using phosphors on the metal that goes inside to help with vibrancy that is difficult to get with the other gases.
Yeah. This is definitely possible. It's just very difficult to find time to, because if you want to make an experiment, it's quite easy. But if you want to make a product which you will sell to customers and you want to guarantee some quality and lifespan, then you need to invest a lot of time into the testing and the research, because if you underestimate the problems what can appear, they will always come, and they will always cause failures and just problems with the tube. So I'm quite paranoid in it, because I already burned myself several times in the past when I did some like a mistakes or something with the materials, and then I had to replace the tubes. So it's a very expensive process, and it's so I want to be very careful about the materials what we use and
Right.
all these things.
Yeah, and with that, I've noticed that that you're running a business, so you have to make sure that you have quality for your products. And I noticed that what I actually enjoy is some of the videos you show yourself improving on issues that come back to you. That you get an old clock back, and you work through the process. Okay, this is what that problem was, and then you can apply it and see where it came from, and then make sure that problem no longer exists in your future manufacturing. I find that very, very awesome and very professional.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I think this is the only way how to improve your product. Of course, the best way would be to go through all these processes, like all these problems in house, and not avoid them in manufacture before you actually ship the product to customer. But we catch a lot of problems here, but some problems are like a combination of several factors which we cannot simulate here or predict here. So these are waiting for the customers, and I must say we have really wonderful customers. Like I ran several businesses before, and like the type of customers we have now is absolutely the best I ever dealt with, and they're really supportive. So if there is a problem, I always like replace a tube or replace the clock. The clock replacement is fortunately not so often, but if there is a problem, we do the replacement, and I try to find the cause of the problem, and then we are searching for ways how to prevent them from happening in future.
Right. And that's just the nature of humans making something. You can spot all the obvious things, but you never send out a perfect product. But many manufacturers, because they're maybe really big, they stop trying to solve the problem because they're like, oh, we got 1,000 of those. Maybe the problem is only very small. They use percentages. For you always, maybe because you're a smaller company, you always want to make sure that these things are being taken care of. And yes, again, I'd really appreciate that notation. It's kind of missing in the world where businesses are too big to care enough about the little things.
Yeah. And of course, when you run a large business, then you need to calculate carefully. Some problems. Sometimes it's less expensive to produce the product with the problem, because there are so few problems actually appearing among the customers, than to invest money into the research and development of the fix. But for me, this is it's always very frustrating when the product fails. So I don't do any calculations of how it would cost to keep the product with this potential problem, but I always try to find a way how to remove it from product, how to fix this thing, because it's more emotional than rational thinking at this point for me.
And the follow-up question here, you've done some custom tubes, which is really cool. You've done a couple where you've done like a company logo. Do you enjoy kind of having some of those custom products or projects?
Yes, I unfortunately don't have much time, or always when I want to do something like this, I need to like kind of steal the time from development of our like regular Nixie tubes. I prefer to work on our regular Nixie tubes and regular clocks, but from time to time I want to do something different. And at this point, at this tube you are talking about, this was first try to make like a bigger tube with logo, and I must say it turned out pretty well. I like how it looks, how like I like this cathode what we use. They are like a not full area, but they are like a honeycomb made of lines, and the glow discharge on this kind of cathode looks very nice. So I was surprised how it looks and how it behaves. So this was a very exciting project. Of course, there are risks with every new project. There are risks that you will screw it up, and this happened also in this case. You can see in the video that one of the letters, like the T in the cathode, was not glowing well, and I hope to heal it with higher current, but in the end it failed because I sputtered too much metal during the healing. So I'm currently making new tube for the company. So I had to make another piece, but that's the learning process. I learned so much on this project.
And any closing words that you want to have to give to our guests, our audience, in terms of what you do, or whether it's about running a business or exploring something in gas discharge?
Just if you are interested in our business or in our project, what we do, I will be happy if you follow us on our like a social networks. But regarding the business or that's difficult to come up with something like closing words. Yeah, I'm always, when I share the work with people, I always feel like they should get motivated and do something themselves. So not just like watch the videos or scroll through the pictures on Instagram, but like get inspired, get motivated, and do something themselves. So this would be like the closing word for me. So just like do something yourself, like find a project and do something yourself.
And you have several social media accounts. You have one on Instagram, YouTube, and is there anything else?
And Facebook, like this.
And Facebook.
But, yeah, on the YouTube we shared, or I try to make videos from the background and share it on YouTube. And for the Instagram and Facebook, I share the same thing. So if you follow either Instagram or Facebook, it's the same.
And then my last question before we close out here, any books that you recommend? I know you recommended the Cold Cathode Discharge Tube book, but is there any other books that you would recommend for those interested?
There is from the Western, the book Cold Cathode or Cold Cathode Gas Discharge Tubes. This is one book. This is the most important one, and then there is a book called Glass to Metal Seals from A Partridge this is also a good book about the glass to metal sealing. And I think that's all, or it's the most important source of information about the gas discharge and like in terms of Nixie tubes and the glass to metal sealing.
Excellent. Well, thank you for taking the time to be on the podcast. I appreciate you answering my invitation for this. Hope to keep in contact with you soon. Anything else?
Yeah, thank you too. It was nice talking, and I hope that people will like it.
Excellent.
So thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, and you're welcome. The outro is The Process by Lakey Inspired. Jordan, aka Lakey, is a Los Angeles-based artist with the goal of inspiring others to create by sharing positive music around the world. Thus, he works hard to produce music every week for copyright-free use. So be sure to support his music by giving credit when used, subscribing, and/or by donation via Patreon. You can find him on Instagram, YouTube, SoundCloud, and Spotify. Thank you for listening to the Taming Lightning podcast. I'd like to thank Dalibor Farný for taking the time to record for the podcast, as well as sharing with me some of his knowledge on reading and equipment recommendations. Like most podcast episodes, this is just an introduction, and I hope to have him on again to talk more about his recent projects. I'd like to thank the Pittsburgh Glass Center for supporting me as a place of research and inspiration. Also, the Plasma Art Alliance, where I have access to a well of knowledge and connects me to some amazing and supportive people. If you'd like to support Taming Lightning, subscribe to the newsletter on www.taminglightning.net or follow on Instagram @taminglightning. Other options for support are donation through Ko-fi, spelled ko-fi.com/taminglightning, where you can donate for the price of a $3 cup of coffee. Links will be provided in the show notes. Feel free to share, comment, and subscribe. As always, be safe, be healthy, and be strong. And I'll see you next time.